continuing our series on the Preamble to the Constitution. But from a spiritual perspective, this is part 2 about establishing justice. And again, we will have a song for it at the end.
Welcome to the podcast where it's all about living your love story and making your life and world a story where love wins. My name is Sienna.
And my name is Toast. We've been partners in life, love, and music since 2001. Welcome to our podcast.
Welcome to the podcast on a Wednesday.
Oh, that's right. This is our first.
If you're listening to it
Yes.
on the release day,
Yes.
thanks for joining us. And thanks for hanging in there on this beautiful preamble series that we created for you.
Oh my God. I'm laughing because
I've had some resistance to it, but I'm showing up. I'm showing up.
Okay.
Because
I'm laughing because this whole preamble series was my idea.
Yeah.
And Sienna was like, what are we going to talk about the preamble? Oh my gosh, so funny. But I'm a geek like that. So Sienna has been very gracious and generous in humoring my geekiness for democracy. The democracy.
I mean, I really think you should have your own podcast where you can talk about politics and democracy and all the things that you're doing anyways. You know, you read, all the books you read have everything to do with, well, I mean, you have some historical
U.S. history
fiction
and stuff.
books, but
yeah,
I mean, you love that, you know?
I do. So thank you for participating in this series.
Thank you
Sienna.
for participating in Toast's podcast series.
Okay, to open, once again, we're going to do this for every single one of these episodes because it only takes 20 seconds.
Why we're doing this? Why are we we did it the last time.
Because
are you trying to hit 20? Last time you did 27
kind of. It's kind
seconds.
of a game. Yes, it's kind of a game for me. I'm going to recite the preamble to the Constitution. I'm trying to come in at 20 seconds because, hey, that's how long you should wash your hands for. So, are you ready? Okay, Sienna's ready to hit
go
the
ahead.
iPhone timer. Ready, set, go. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. What was it?
20.77. That's great.
Okay. Yay.
Wow.
Yay. See, it does work, you know. If you memorize it and you lather up for when you recite it, it kind of works.
So basically, Toast's motive is to really invite you to memorize this.
That's
and
right.
the benefit is you can use it while you are hand washing.
Well, you save your own life.
Sure that you are taking care of yourself and others.
Yes. Save your life and those of others.
Okay. So I do have to say two quick things that have nothing to do with this at all.
That's how we do this podcast.
So
It's whatever we want.
If you all are enjoying the Halloween movies out now, I do have 2 recommendations. Both of them are on Hulu, so you're going to need Hulu. One of them is called Monsterland, which is basically each episode is a standalone. And Monsterland is really good if you are okay with endings that hang open, you know, that leave you hanging in a way to really think about the episode. Because it's not just clear cut.
They don't wrap it up for you.
They absolutely don't. So
I think that's a psychological tactic because if they leave it open-ended like that, then it kind of lives in your brain more, right? You don't have closure.
You're not just moving on.
So it makes you more scared in a way.
Well, it definitely makes you think about various endings and what happened. And then the second is Books of Blood.
That's the name of it?
On Hulu.
Oh.
Yes. And this...
Is that a movie?
It's a movie, but it's a set of 3 stories that are intertwined. But it is a movie. Is it a movie? Yeah, it's a movie. It's a movie.
Okay.
Very good. Fun. A fun watch.
But not as fun as Goonies.
That's all I have to say. Did you say Goonies?
What? Or Gremlins. Remember Gremlins?
Those are not scary at all.
They're fun, though. They're fun. Halloween.
Not scary at all.
Okay. So that was our public service announcement for your Halloween season. If real life is not scary enough, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so this particular episode in our Preamble series, the purpose of the Constitution is to form a more perfect union, establish justice. That's the second thing listed. To establish justice. And I thought it was so interesting how at the beginning of 2020, remember the beginning of 2020? Good Lord. It feels like
January felt great. February was fantastic.
Well, you know, what was happening during that time? Frickin' all the impeachment hearings. So we were hearing phrases like do impartial justice and equal justice under law. And we've been hearing throughout this entire regime's rule is the rule of law. And part of the frustration for you, dear listener, I would imagine, is that there has not been equal justice. And to be honest, there hasn't been equal justice for a long time. Too long. Ever. In the United States, and actually anywhere, honestly. So yes, we have anger about that, and that is a good thing. We should be angry about that, and we should allow that anger to fuel action that we take towards establishing justice, towards, well, a more perfect union, right? The phrase more perfect, it's a never-ending process. It's something that we're always going to need to be working at, is establishing justice.
And the anger, though, don't you think that we should qualify that a bit?
You're so responsible.
That's good.
Thank you, Sienna. Yes, we should. We should
use it to become an angry person. You know, some people just like
resentful,
hold on to it and fester, and
don't do that.
And then they're angry at everybody versus the situation or something specific, more focused. Focused anger. Maybe it's focused
anger, and anger that I guess gets processed
through an action, I think.
Through an action, through education, through discussing with the people in your life. Yeah. We're not talking about vigilante kind of anger. Okay. Okay, so establishing justice. When this topic came up, the quote that came to mind is the simple quote by philosopher Cornel West. And the quote is, "Justice is what love looks like in public."
I love that.
Isn't that great?
I love that.
Justice is what love looks like in public.
Can you make us a quote graphic for Instagram?
Okay.
I love that.
Okay, yeah. Justice is what love looks like in public life, in our collective life as a society. How do we live out love as a community? We do that through justice. Yeah. You know, I'm going to jump down here just really quick. See, I'm pointing. You can't see me, but I'm pointing to our notes here. And so Sienna can tell what I'm talking about. When I'm saying, okay, when Cornel West was saying justice is what love looks like in public, it makes me think of the idea of, that phrase, crime and punishment. Mm-hmm. Personally, I get uncomfortable with the use of the word punishment when applied to things like prison sentences and things like that. For me, the idea of locking someone up or prison and that sort of thing, that's not so much a punishment, or I would like to not see it as so much a punishment. It's more for the safety of the rest of us. Right? That's anyway, that's what I mean by, or that's what I thought of when this phrase was what love looks like in public. It's not to punish a person so much as it is to protect the rest of us from abuse. Yeah. It's that's love, you know.
Was that bear sneezing? Did you hear that?
Was that what that was?
Did you hear it?
I heard something. Well, we heard Bear snoring
Anyways,
last
Bear
night.
was snoring up a storm.
Like really loud snoring.
Like Toast thought it was me.
But it was coming from the wrong area.
But it was not me. Anyway, okay.
Bless you, Bear. Bear's our cat, by the way.
All right.
So what comes to your mind when this idea of like justice and law?
I mean, you know, when I was thinking about this particular episode, I know that in some of the spiritual teachings, I have learned that it's not up to us to establish justice, that God is going to do it. So it's not on you. Let that go. God is going to do it.
Oh, the idea of like getting even and
right, or however, right? Like, oh, I need to, whatever, establishing justice, whatever the I think every situation is different, but I've heard that before, and that comes more from a Christian perspective. But as I thought about it, I do think that it is up to us because, you know, God and Spirit work through us to establish justice. You know, it's not like, oh, just turn the other cheek and all that stuff is going to get taken care of. I mean, and all of these, you know, it really depends on the exact situation we're talking about.
Right. And I think
so I'm
things
just doing
work hand
broad
in hand.
sweeps.
Yeah. I think things work hand in hand. And when I say things, I mean the one's inner experience and one's outer experience. Because I think the whole God piece, or whatever you want to call it, you know, you can't make somebody feel bad. You can't make somebody feel guilty and cause them inner turmoil, or right. And I think that's what comes to my mind.
Totally.
With that idea of, it's up to God to handle that person. That's what comes to my mind. It's like, yeah, that person's going to have whatever experience they have. But what you said about, God works through us to establish justice. That's where I put that whole idea of us as a collective, as us as a society. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Just, I was talking more about, I totally agree with you. I was just talking more about that Christian perspective of just kind of like that turning the other cheek. Don't spend time like really thinking about what injustice was done to you or what injustice is going on, you know. But to me, if we just turn the other cheek, then who's taking the actions that are necessary on this plane to make changes?
Right.
You know,
because that's not loving. Is just to tell somebody who's being abused, oh, just turn the other cheek. It's like, no. Right. Yeah.
And so, you know, I know there's more to that. I'm not like a strong Christian person, you know.
No, we are not strong Christian people, just so you know.
But I do remember, like, I think it was Joel Osteen, like in one of his sermons, I do remember, like, you know, it's not for you and whatever. And I got to say that at the time I did feel, that thought was very freeing. It was like, yeah, let me just let go of this thing.
Yes.
You know, but I think in what we're talking about today, I think using, coming from the perspective of God, the divine universe, whatever you want to call it, does create justice and makes it right through the use of us.
Yes.
We are the instruments, you know, taking the actions to make it right.
Yes. Taking the actions such as writing a constitution and following it. Right? Amen. Since we're talking about
Did you amen yourself? Did you amen yourself? Because I didn't say anything.
Yes. Okay. Let's see. I'm just looking at my notes again. Okay. Well, okay. So in my notes, I jotted down the idea of spiritual law and natural law. And by spiritual law, it was the idea of you reap what you sow energetically, like in a spiritual sense. And what I mean is, when you hurt other people, you're just isolating yourself. That's one of the things you are doing. And therefore, you're hurting yourself by hurting others.
Yeah.
You reap what you sow. And that's spiritual law. And I think the natural law is, let me back up. Spiritual law. I think spiritual law can be seen as a statement of just what in fact actually happens based on what we do. It's just like it's gravity. This is what actually happens. So when you hurt other people, you hurt yourself. That's just what happens. Versus natural law, which is actually the phrase for a real theory in ethics and philosophy. Natural law, and actually natural law is what inspired the Declaration of Independence. That phrase, like, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. That idea is under the umbrella of what's known as natural law. But natural law, as far as I understand it, it doesn't state what in fact actually happens. What it does is it states what we as human beings have a responsibility to live up to. We have a responsibility to live up to treating people equally. We have a responsibility to protect each other from abuse because we have intrinsic value. So that's a part where we get to be instruments of justice, as Sienna was saying.
I like that.
And I have okay, that's it. That's all I had for notes.
Well, thank you for announcing that. I did want to say that, in thinking about this topic today, what came to mind for me was the law of reciprocity.
Okay. That's a spiritual law.
Which states that, when someone does something nice for you, you will have a deep-rooted psychological urge to do something nice in return. And I really appreciate that. I mean, you can look at it as, there's strings attached. You're not just doing it freely. It's not a true act of kindness. But let's not add that to the law of reciprocity. Well, okay. I love how this naturally...
Man,
and that's
we
my
are hungry. Are you hearing our stomachs?
But I love that is what naturally occurs.
Yes.
In the recipient.
Yeah, biologically. We can't help it.
It's natural. It just, so to me, it seems a little bit literally like, how you're talking about natural law, spiritual law, like it seems to be just this combination.
It is, yeah.
Combination of it.
It's they're integrated with each other. Yeah.
So I think even focusing, when we're talking about establishing justice, which can feel so heavy.
Yes.
And what do I do? I feel helpless. I don't know what to do. What can I actually do? I think it can be as simple as focusing on this law and whenever and wherever you can, just being kind and doing good. That sounds so simple, but in this time, we totally need it more than ever.
Yes, people.
Just do kind things and focus on doing good, and in whatever way you feel inspired to do that.
And it could be totally just on a personal, private basis with your family members and friends. But what it looks like in public life, is what we traditionally think of as justice. Right? Okay, so we're going to share another excerpt of one of our songs to end this episode. And for this episode, we chose a song that we wrote that's called That's Why I Keep Keeping On. This was from a long time ago. A lot of songs that we share from now on are going to be from a long time ago for us. We chose this one because
we are recording new songs.
Yeah, we're working on recording new songs, but we're going into the back catalog for this one. One of the lyrics in the chorus for this is, "It's the spirit of law, not the letter." And that's how the world gets better. So enjoy. And until next time,
this is Sienna.
And this is Toast, as always, inviting you, encouraging you, supporting you, believing in you as you live your love story.
My mama said your greatest pain will come from those who do you wrong, and your grandest joy, your happy song, will be because someone calls you friend. So keep yourself together. You undo the pain out there. It's the spirit of law, not the letter. Tender your heart, lighten your care, 'cause that's how the world gets better. That's how the battle's won. We're all in this together, and that's why I keep keeping on. On my better days, I open up, I feel the love that's always here. And in my darkest nights, though I feel the chill, I know the power is with me still. So keep yourself together. You undo the pain out there. It's the spirit of law, not the letter. Tender your heart, lighten your care, 'cause that's how the world gets better. That's how the battle's won. We're all in this together, and that's why I keep keeping on. That's why